everybody. Welcome into Sports by GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Jeremy Lapidus. Today, we have a lot to cover, especially around the world of the NFL, with lots of updates happening on stories that we have been covering throughout the offseason. I hope everybody had a great day so far today. We're going to start off our show outside of the NFL, though, with one of the bigger stories that has been covered over the last couple days about the potential 2028 Olympic roster in LA. An Olympics that I think for the first time the U.S. might not be favored in basketball for. So we'll talk about that Olympics, see if there's a team we can put together that will be 100% accurate. We're also going to talk about the quarterback injury that happened to the young, promising rookie, JJ McCarthy. He comes out torn meniscus, and we'll talk about the two options he has and how that might affect the Vikings season coming up in 2024. Then we'll do some updates of trade rumors, trade talks around the NFL, including, guess who? Brandon Ayuk, Hassan Reddick, those two guys, as well as some other news from around the world of the NFL. Before closing out our show, finishing out the AFC South, talking about the Houston Texans, talking about their offseason, giving them a grade, talking about their upcoming season, and of course, giving them a record prediction. But before we get into any of that, remember, if you would like to be an even bigger part of the show than you already are, all you need to do is use that super chat option. If you are on YouTube, leave a message with that super chat. It should pop up on the bottom of the screen for you, me, and everybody else around the world to see. If you are not on YouTube and you would like to be, and if you'd like to leave a message as well, all you need to do is go to gsmcpodcast.net. If you have a burning question about sports, anything at all that you would like to ask, go and throw that in the comments or the chat. I will get to it as soon as I possibly can. I appreciate everybody so much for sticking around, talking some sports with me here on a beautiful Tuesday afternoon. But like I was saying, we are going to get into our topics today. We're going to start off today in, I guess, the NBA, the world of basketball here, talking a little bit about the potential 2028 Olympic basketball roster, something that has a lot of intrigue around it, seeing as this is most likely the final Olympics for Steph Curry, for LeBron James, maybe even for Kevin Durant. We'll talk about him. He's one of those big three that might be back. But this 2024 gold medal winning Olympic team was this last hurrah, right? This was the last hurrah for these legends of our time, these legends of NBA basketball, of international basketball, to go out and win that gold medal. And they got it done. But now we need to take a look ahead at a world that is all but caught up to the United States at this point. We saw the U.S. obviously get pushed to the brink multiple times in this playoffs, as well as a U.S. team that is undoubtedly going to be, I won't say undoubtedly, but most likely going to be worse in 2028 than it was in 2024. It's not easy to build a roster better than the one that was just built, but we're going to go ahead and give it a try. Over here, starting off our roster, I want to make one thing clear. I can't tell the future, obviously. There's going to be lots of young guys that come into the league 2 years from now, 3 years, 2 or 3 years from now, maybe even next year, that are going to explode out of nowhere, and I bet you at least one of them makes this team. That being said, the majority of the players that I have on my list here already are in the NBA. And I feel like that is going to track. I have one player that is currently in college, but everyone else is currently in the NBA. All of these Americans are here. So we'll just start off with the guards here. And I did this I had a couple of different ways of doing this. I wanted to get a couple of big men. I really like the 2 or 3 big men that they had in this year's Olympics. So I wanted to build around that because size is very important in FIBA basketball, going up against some of those greats around the world. But I just wanted to start with some of the guards here, right? There's Obviously, some of these young guys on the current 2024 Olympic team that I think are going to make it, and we'll just start off with them. Tyrese Halliburton should be invited back. Now, if there's anyone that's not going to be invited back, it's going to be him. Obviously, his role was bench warmer. He knew that. He barely got into the games. He seemed pretty happy with his role there. The other guy that obviously is going to make it that was on this year's team, Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards is probably going to be the headliner for this team. He's going to be the star of this team, of the next generation of U.S. Olympians. He is the lock to be on this team. The other returner that I have on here, or I have a couple more returners. I've got Jason Tatum on here. He's one of those that I'm not sure if he will return, especially after what happened in this year's Olympics with his lack of playing time. I do have Jason Tatum making it. He is just too skilled for the U.S. team not to have it. And in the event that he doesn't, because he says no. We're going off the assumption that everybody says yes here. There's no reason for them to say no. Maybe Steve Kerr isn't the head coach next time, and there's no way Jason Tatum doesn't get playing time on a roster that isn't like it was this Olympics. Couple more returners. Bam Adebayo. I think he is a lock to return as well. His defense, what he does down low anchoring this team, is huge. He also, can shoot the occasional three, stretch the floor, but his defense really is the big thing. And this is a team that's going to lack size a little bit, and it's going to struggle a little more on the defensive end from what I have it as right now. But I have Bam making the team as well. And the last returner is Kevin Durant. I do think that Kevin Durant comes back. I don't think he's going to have a super huge role. I don't think he's going to be a starter or anything. I don't think that he's going to get super huge minutes, but I do think he can play the role as a mentor, someone that can come in and, be that legend of U.S. basketball to convince these young guys to come and play. That's my thinking there for Kevin Durant coming back, maybe going for a fifth gold. And obviously, he's still going to be great at this point. I have no reason to believe he won't be among the best players in the world still. Outside of those 5 returners, I have a couple of guys that I think should absolutely make it. Starting off, back at the guard position, John Morant, especially if he's healthy, his explosiveness, there's no reason why he shouldn't be on this team. Again, health has been an issue with him. Off the court issues have been happening, but John Morant is a guy who is insanely talented and should be on this roster. Next to Tyrese Halliburton as the main ball handlers, you have Edwards, you have Anthony Edwards as well, and of course Devin Booker. I did skip over him on a returner after what he did this Olympics. He could have an expanded role on a less stacked team, but his ability to go and play any role that's necessary is going to be huge for a team that always will be stacked. So Devin Booker, I think, also makes the team this time around as well. The next position down, the three position, I think is going to have a couple of new guys. Paolo Banchero, one of these young guys, I think what we've seen out of him already on the Magic, especially on the defensive end, is going to be much needed. This is a team that's going to have enough on offense, no matter what. What it's going to need is defense, and I think bringing in a guy like Banchero that can play both ends, shoot the ball well, and be an elite defender on almost all 5 positions is going to be huge. Next to him, another guy that can provide defense, Jaylen Brown. I think he was snubbed from this year's team. I think they invite him back, get that Celtic duo of Tatum and Brown on the court together. Finishing out down low, we have the one guy that is not currently in the NBA that I put on this roster, and that is Cooper Flagg. He went out and he practiced with this team. He looked really good. There's no reason to believe he won't come in and automatically make a huge step in the NBA. I have Cooper Flagg making this Olympic team, and the final 2 spots are going to be filled out by some centers or some guys that can play center, starting off with Zion Williamson. And I have heard rumblings of don't let Zion on the team, and I get it to a certain extent. We haven't seen him healthy that much, but when he is healthy, especially in these big moments, he's played 1 playoff game. It was a play-in game earlier this year. He went off for 40 points. He is a great player. He is one of the best American players in the world if he can stay healthy. And he had all that hype in the draft for a reason. He is on my Olympic roster here. And rounding it out, I've got Chet Holmgren. Huge guy, can anchor the defense down low, stretch the floor on the offensive end, be the anti-Wemby for France, because France is going to be insane. We talk about how good they were this year. Imagine how good they're going to be when Wemby continues to develop. When you have the top 2 picks from this year most likely making into the draft, plus they have a point guard coming up, I believe, in this year's draft, maybe next year's draft, that is going to be on that team who's supposed to be really, really good. This is a French team that might even be favored over the U.S. And I know this isn't the sexiest team in the world, right? A team led by Anthony Edwards, Jason Tatum, and Bam Adebayo or Zion Williamson. You know, this isn't this year's roster of Omega stars, right? This isn't an Avengers level team, but this is still a really solid team. You're going to get great passing and ball handling from Halliburton and Ja. You'll get those highlight plays from Ja, Anthony Edwards, Zion Williamson, these guys that are flashy, especially on down low finishing. And then you can stretch the floor with some great shooters on this roster as well in Booker and Brown and Durant, of course. I think getting that veteran presence of Durant is very important for a team that is going to be as young as this. Again, it's a step back, but I feel like it will literally be impossible to take a step forward from this year's 2024 Olympic roster. Let me know what you think of this Olympic roster. Again, Tyrese Halliburton, Ja Morant, Anthony Edwards, Devin Booker, Paolo Banchero, Jaylen Brown, Cooper Flagg, Kevin Durant, Jason Tatum, Bam Adebayo, Zion Williamson, and Chet Holmgren. Let me know if there's anyone I missed that you think should be in there. Anyone that I put in there that you think should have no chance to be in there. And any other thoughts you had on this. I did have a couple honorable mentions that didn't get in. Derek White, I think he has a place to play on any team with his 3-and-D style, but I couldn't put him in over other guys. Jalen Brunson is a guy that I had penciled in at first, but I needed some size on here, so I took him out in some defense. Tyrese Maxey and Cade Cunningham, I could see taking a couple of those guard spots as well, maybe moving in over Tyrese Halliburton. But those are the guys that I have behind them. But let me know, like I said, what you think. We're going to take a quick break here, and when we come back, we're going to move into our NFL coverage, talk a little bit about the rookie quarterback injury that took place over the weekend. We just got results back of what that is with JJ McCarthy, so stick around for that. We'll be right back here on Sports by GSMC Podcast Network.